All right. Great evening to each and every one of you. Good morning, depending on where you are. Lakeisha McKnight is here, and I want to welcome you to the Revitalize the Total Woman podcast. This indeed is a podcast connected to the nonprofit based in Chesapeake, Virginia, here in the United States. That's where the headquarters of the company is. And the name of the company is Women of Elevation Career Services International. And right now we're leveraging and we're using the Spreaker platform to go live before you on today. It is 8:01 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Tuesday, November 21st, 2017. So welcome to this podcast. I can tell you that the mission of the podcast and of the nonprofit is to empower women like yourself with the tools to be able to create, relate, and elevate. And we always invite you to check out our website at www.womenofElevation.com to learn more about what it is that we do and how we elevate women. So what I'm going to do before I dive into the episode, just in case someone wants to listen to this through our social media platforms, I am going to share on my timeline and do that. And then I'm also going to share in the community group and on the podcast fan page on Facebook. So I'm going to go ahead and type in, join me now as I am live teaching how purpose how purpose elevates women. Okay. And if this is something you would love to learn about, we ask you to stick around because we're going to talk about this today and tomorrow, but we're going to talk about this from a biblical perspective. Okay. So we're going to read a little bit from the Bible. Those of you Bible scholars, we're going to be reading a little bit from the Bible. If you're not a believer and you choose or you don't want to listen to this, I mean, it's really up to you. It's your decision. But we are going to share just a biblical reference that's really going to help us to understand this a bit more clearly. Okay. And now let me go to the fan page. Okay. Let me go to the fan page. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Perfect. Okay. So just as I mentioned, we always invite you to go to our website to check out more about what we do, which is womenofelevation.com. But I will say this, what we're going to do is going to reference a scripture, and then we're going to try to help you to understand how this scripture really helps us to understand how purpose elevates women or prepares women for elevation. The scripture that I'm talking about and that I'm going to be reading from is Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 3 through 11. Ecclesiastes chapter 1, verses 3 through 11. And, the version that I'm reading from, just to let you know, I'm coming from the New King James Version. All right. Verse 3 reads, "What profit has a man from all his labor in which he toils under the sun? One generation passes away and another generation comes, but the earth abides forever. The sun also rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it arose. The wind goes toward the south and turns around to the north. The wind whirls about continually and comes again on its circuit. All the rivers run into the sea, yet the sea is not full. To the place from which the rivers come, there they return again. All things are full of labor. Man cannot express it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. That which has been is what will be. That which is done is what will be done. And there is nothing new under the sun. Is there anything of which it may be said, 'See, this is new'? It has already been in ancient times before us." Verse 11, the final verse we're reading, says this: "There is no remembrance of former things, nor will there be any remembrance of things that are to come by those who will come after." And the reason why, I am talking about this is because one thing that I've recognized when it comes to having a vision and understanding purpose, all of these things, if we don't really know what our purpose is, okay, then leadership, truly living, has no mission to it. So there is no purpose in life, or there is no reason for living without purpose, without clearly understanding why you're here, why you are in existence, why do you exist today. The Bible clearly says in the scripture that there isn't anything new under the sun, that there's always been a purpose, there's always been a reason. And it hasn't been something that's been recreated or something that hasn't been here before. But the whole point of this is to help you to understand that you really have to understand what your mission is and stay true to it. Don't abandon your mission in life or your purpose in life. Okay? So you have to understand. You have to understand that, you don't want to seek towards things that are temporary, but things that have true meaning that's going to really, really, truly make a difference. Okay? And there are a couple of points that really stand out above the scripture, about the scripture specifically. And is this: if nothing worthwhile exists under the sun, our only hope must lie above it. So our hope shouldn't really be in material things, but really we should look up. We should look to God for understanding, for clarity. We should always look to God, never to those things that are temporary. The moment we look at things that are temporary is the moment we lose sight of purpose. Again, the moment we keep our eyes on the things that are temporary is the moment we lose sight of purpose. Number 2, if the man with everything investigated every visible delight and still wound up unsatisfied, then what satisfies must be invisible. Okay, the things that we have, all these things don't truly satisfy a man, but it's that which you can't see that satisfies him. And so understand, you can't see purpose. Purpose is a supernatural type of concept, therefore coming from he who is supernatural, God. And the third point about this particular body of scripture: if the wisest man on earth finds no answers under heaven, then we must look to heaven itself for those answers. The wisest man, Solomon, if you remember that biblically, he's the wisest man declared. He could not find answers to purpose and reason under heaven. So we must look to heaven for it. You must look to God to really discover what the purpose is. And if he who gives us purpose is in heaven, right? Then therefore, in order for us to truly live, carry out life, and to really truly carry out what God has called us to really walk out in our lives, we must seek him, he who is elevated, who lives in the heavens. Because if we want to meet him where he is, we can't look down, we can't look across, but we have to look up. So you look up to him who can elevate you. Don't look to man who is on your level. So I want to encourage you, look up, look to God. Find out what your purpose is, because it's your purpose that rests in him, and he will share with you what it is that you're called to do. Elevation is closely tied to purpose, because the moment you touch purpose is the moment you touch and that you have a relationship with God, and you can truly live and walk in your divine purpose. So again, thank you so very much for listening in on tonight. I just thought that this was really profound. Again, I appreciate you so very much for being connected to this podcast, connected to Women of Elevation Career Services International. And we look forward to doing bigger and greater things throughout the rest of this year and going into 2018. We've opened up locations, launched locations in Nigeria, and we will continue to give you progress as to those, how those locations are doing. We're in the process right now of appointing leaders. So there's great work still that lies ahead, and we appreciate all of your prayers. Thank you so much. Be blessed, and definitely stay tuned. We'll be back tomorrow night at 8:00 p.m.